right, the biggest surprise, though, at least for me to come out of this column, how about the Warriors? They're projected at 56.1 wins. That's the second highest in the league, and 10 wins over where ESPN Bet has them right now. So whether the numbers back them or not, the confidence, it is always high in Golden State. I spoke with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond leading up to the season. Take a listen.
It seems like whenever we talk about the Golden State Warriors, we talk about the phrase maximizing the end of Steph Curry's career. Do you think that the Warriors, even dating back to the Jimmy Butler trade, do you feel like that's what's happening here, is a maximization?
I think you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to what that actually means.
I'm asking the chef.
I know, and the idea of, like, you know, it's really unique what we've been able to do. For how long we've been able to do it. Like, we're relying on that expertise and IQ and knowledge now, you know, to overcome Father Time. Me, Draymond, obviously being here for as long as we have, and Jimmy, you know, joined us last year. I'm excited about it.
When Jimmy Butler was traded here in February, you said that this team, this group, is going to win a championship. Does that declaration carry over into this season?
It definitely does. Unfortunately, Batman went down with a hamstring injury, and it kind of changed the outlook on things a little bit. But nonetheless, we think we're even in a better position now to win a championship than we were last year. Last year, Jimmy didn't even know any defensive terminologies. We were just making it work. You know,
he was just yelling at Buddy.
Absolutely, you know, and so I think we actually have an opportunity to build this thing the right way and work towards a championship the way you have to do it.
We kind of got a little bit of a sample size last year, but it was a tease. But knowing that that was there, what can this team be this season?
At the top, which is what we know, it's what we envisioned, and what we're gonna show everybody. We know, but you do have to go out there and you do have to do it. You gotta compete and beat the best teams. And we got some really good players. One in particular, number 30. And like I always say, you got a really good chance when 30, AKA Batman, is on the floor. So life is good.
You could close the chapter now. 4 rings, defensive players of the years, MVPs, finals MVPs. But how much do you talk about that fuel for 5?
That's all we talk about. Like, getting that 5th ring, like what that would be like and what we need to do to get it done. That's the only focus, is to do that and get, like, when I talk about it, I'm at a loss for words, because how did we even end up in that position? You know, like, it takes you back. But yeah, you gotta snap out of it real quick, because we know what it takes to get it done. I think if we stay healthy, I don't see any team out there that we can't beat.
When you go toe-to-toe, top to bottom, we feel like we match up well with anybody, and we just want to have an opportunity to show that in the playoffs. The idea of when we won in 22, like, if you told me in training camp that this was the team that was going to win it all, like, I would have believed it. I think there's a little similarity there, but Jimmy adds another dynamic that we didn't even have back then, so I'm excited to kind of see it all the way through.
Our NBA reporter covering the Warriors, Anthony Slater, is joining us now from the Bay Area. So, Slater, Steph is making comparisons to that 2022 title team. But how is the way that the Dubs are attacking this preseason? Does that maybe echo that year a little bit?
For sure. They went 5-0 that preseason, and they were just really serious about figuring out lineup combinations and getting their bodies ready, and you feel that now. They're playing all their guys again tonight. I hear they're going to try out a new, different starting lineup. They went small in the first game. I expect Al Horford to start tonight as they're just trying to get used to each other, because that season they started 11-1. They started 18-2. They hit some injuries that year. They lost 7 of 8, I think, in March, 4-game losing streak late in the season. But they had such a cushion early in the season that they were still the 3 seed. And I think that really matters to them. Whereas, you know, everybody wants to talk about that sprint to the finish they had with Jimmy Butler, which signals to a lot of people they could compete. But I had somebody in the organization tell me today, they don't want to have to go 23-8 late in the season. They don't want to have to sprint to the finish line, because we know it's an older group, and, you know, they want to be able to be fresh when the playoffs start.
So if they're able to build maybe that little bit of padding, particularly towards the beginning of the season, they can withstand maybe some of those lumps and bumps that come with being an older team a little bit later. This team, though, Slater, it does have something, as you know, you covered that squad as well, that team did not, and that is a championship big man in Al Horford. How has he fit so seamlessly just 1 week into his tenure with the Golden State Warriors?
Really well, and I've talked to a few people around the team about kind of the recruitment of Al Horford, and Steve Kerr said by the time he talked to Al Horford this summer, there was basically felt like there was a commitment that it was going to be the Warriors, and it sounds like the conversation with Steph Curry was the thing that may have got it over the finish line, and Steph Curry's played with passing bigs before, Andrew Bogut, David West, even Kevon Looney. It's the type of bigs he likes. You saw the give and go they had the other night, which both of them are talking about, but he hasn't necessarily played with a passing big like that who also stretches out to the three-point line. Steph's really excited about that, and then Al Horford, he had a quote yesterday basically talking about how Steph just terrifies defenses every time he moves, and you could tell Al Horford's played with a lot of stars and different type of players in the league, but he's never quite played with a guy like Steph Curry, the gravitational pull he has on defenses, and that's basically because nobody really does to defenses what Steph Curry does, so he's excited and it's working well.
I imagine that it's a big sigh of relief to be on the same side of Steph Curry and not having to be getting in the ice bath after having guarded Steph Curry here. He's Kevin Durant, but this is a new chapter. For the first time tonight, the 19-year all-world player will suit up with the Rockets and make his preseason debut in Houston against the Utah Jazz. One of our producers is very excited about this one. This is going to be the 6th different city that KD will call home as he adds one more color to that rainbow of jerseys he's donned in his career. And you know what? He's dominated each and every place he stopped. And I think y'all believe me, but just in case maybe you want some plays to back that up, we thought we'd run through the top of the top, some of the best of Kevin Durant's career. We're going to start with KD as a rookie. This one's in Seattle here, Bobby. KD catches, drains the three at the buzzer to defeat the Hawks in double overtime.
That was a sign of things to come.
Yeah. Really, really was.
Look at a baby face.
Baby face. Look at that lineup, too. Also in 2007, cuts and stuffs it on the nets there. Is that your...
No, that was the Raptors.
Oh, I always just want to talk about Bobby. And then the franchise moved to Oklahoma City.
Good.
So we're going to start in 2011 here, Momo.
Oh my gosh, look at it. His head is above the rim there.
Soaring. Woo. Oh, Kendrick Perkins. We had to show that, too. He was in the building for this one the most iconic game winners.
Getting the leg down right now.
One of the most iconic catch, shoot, dagger. Of course, we had to have a whole section for his tenure in Golden State, where he won 2 titles. Let's start in 2018. He gets Giannis to leave his feet with a little heavy move. Modern day Giannis would never, but young Giannis had to learn a lesson or two from KD. And then this is game 3 of the 2017 finals here, Shams. Pulling up from deep, drains the clutch 3.
Yeah, 2 of these signatures.
It went on to take a 3-0 lead in that series. It's what the Aces are looking to do tonight. And then next, he moved out east to Brooklyn. This is when I was a beat writer covering the Nets. 2021 makes... Torrey Craig touched earth. Look at that crossover, Bobo.
His toes were behind the line.
First time I saw that, I thought he pushed off and he wanted to get it.
Sorry, Nets fans.
Nope, he just fell. Slide to the left. Daniel Gafford literally did the splits there. Oh, gosh. Oh, I hope he stretched.
Unreal. All right, let's go ahead here to top the top. KD in Phoenix, his most recent destination. This is in 2024. Game winner against the Bulls.
Destination, too. Look at that.
The end.
Dang.
That was nice help there from Caruso. Just that's his shot. It's what he does. And then KD again. Ooh! It feels like the nice bookend, right, Bobby, with how we started this segment?
On Giannis.
Giannis with a hand in his face.
2024 Giannis.
He is Kevin Durant, and he has scored for every team he's played for. And as you can see here, he owns the career points per game record for the Thunder, for the Nets, the Suns, and he's second for the Warriors, behind only Wilt. That's
okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a heck of a record there. But tonight he is suiting up, of course, for the Houston Rockets. Fans everywhere anticipating this preseason debut. How is he approaching his start of his Rockets tenure here, Shams?
Look at the partnership with Ime Udoka. That's been vital, and that's a big reason why Kevin Durant is in Houston, but also why they feel very good about where this is going. They have a history dating back to when Ime Udoka was coach at USA Basketball with the Brooklyn Nets, when Kevin Durant was there as well. And when you make a trade of this magnitude, it's of course with a championship goal in mind, but also the long-term view in mind too. And the Rockets and Durant's business manager and partner, Rich Kleiman, they've been in constant communication about a long-term contract extension. He can sign a 2-year extension. I'm told there is optimism about a deal getting done before the start of the regular season.
I think that's big that it would be done before the start of the regular season because we forget, like, he's still so good. We forget how old he is. He's in his late 30s now, and to give that much money to a player at that age is a significant show of faith, I think, from the Rockets. But they wouldn't have made this trade if they didn't believe in him, short term and long term. He still is that good, and I think that really shores up what probably is the final stop on his Hall of Fame career.
I think Game 7 against Golden State exposed they needed a closer.
Yeah.
And they went out and got probably the best closer in the
go-to
NBA.
offense.
And Kevin Durant, despite his age, is one of the top 10 players still.
Yeah.
And unless he's off the court, he is going to have a significant impact on this Houston team.
There is no doubt that this Houston team is really well positioned in a Western Conference that we all have talked about how incredibly tough it is. Unfortunately, one hit that this team took some wind out of their sails for the Rockets this summer was the loss, of course, of Fred VanVleet, who had that ACL tear. And some fans, they have pointed to one of KD's former teammates maybe is filling that void. Have you guys heard this? Fans have been asking about, what about Russell Westbrook? Doesn't he not have a team? Maybe a possible solution? And KD was asked about that possibility in an interview on Kay Adams' show.
But I haven't really heard it outside of like fans on the internet. Yeah, Russ is a legend, and I think he deserves to be in the NBA right now, and I think he deserves to walk out of the NBA on his terms. So yeah, that'll be dope. But it's not my decision. It's not my decision. Leaving that up to whoever makes those decisions for now.
All right, Bobby. So KD says he thinks it would be dope, but he's leaving it up to the decision makers. So on the scale of KD says it's dope to nope, not happening. How about that? Where does the Russ and KD reunion?
You know who the decision maker is? Your favorite two words. First apron. When you look at where Houston is right now, they do have an open roster spot, but they're $1.3 million below the first apron. You cannot sign a player until January 8th. So a Durant-Westbrook reunion would have to wait until after Christmas here.
Okay.
So for right now, pump the brakes.
All right, pump the brakes for now. Maybe we would see Russ sign to another team before then, but if there was a reunion happening here, as we thought we would just show you some of what that connection could look like, right? Remember the times that we saw with these two in OKC.
I remember those games. I was at a lot of them.
Yeah, it was
they were
a show,
dynamic together.
But this would have to be a post-Christmas present if it were to happen. Bobby, you know why I appreciate you? You can make a second apron and first apron joke on this show. All right, we're going to go from Houston to Milwaukee.